Welcome to the Supernatural Hour podcast. I am your host, Ravyn.
This is Doc.
Rogue.
This is Doc.
This is Chad.
And Rogue is coming to you from Ogden. We've actually zoomed her in. So, technology. We can have everybody here.
Even though they're not here.
Yes.
Even though they're not here,
Right.
they're here. So how is Ogden, Rogue?
Ogden is smoky and a little bit busier than anticipated, but it's very exciting where I am. I am at a friend's preview of his company being shown on the TV show The Prophet. So energy's high here. Pretty exciting, actually.
Awesome.
And for business, we got some investigations coming up. We're proud to announce we've got Fort Douglas coming up on September 25th. That'll be at 8 o'clock or 8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30. And we'll meet at the Fort Douglas Museum. We've investigated there before. It's a really fun venue. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
So I've never been to Fort Douglas. I believe you've been there, Ravyn. I think you've taken the team out there before. What kind of stuff's going on out there?
Yeah, as far as advanced paranormal, we've gone out there many, many times. And it is always a great location. I've never gone there where it's been dead. There's always been something. Always activity. There's some dark energy there. There's some positive energy there. For the people that are listening that are coming, I don't want to give out too much. I want people to kind of, find it on their own. But there's an outside area that has activity, where all the military equipment is. We actually go and investigate the museum. At some point, I'd like to get back over into the commander's building and, the main theater. The museum has a little theater within it, but, the bigger theater. There's a library where there's some activity. There's a downstairs area. Part of it is not going to be available to us right now just because of some work that they're doing down there. But we will be able to get into the poker room. There's a place down in the basement where back in the day they would play poker, and there's always activity back there. We'll be able to get into there. And then just on the main level, just the main museum itself, we've gotten, really great EVPs, really awesome, some really awesome photographs. And some of the photographs we've got up on our website. And we haven't been here for a while. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, and just as a museum, it's a fantastic museum. Very interesting, the military background things with the museum itself. The other thing they've got the 9/11 memorial.
Yes.
From the World Trade Center. They've got some debris from the World Trade Center and some names and things there, I think. It's very neat. And that area has been quite active.
Where is Fort Douglas at exactly?
Right across the street from the University of Utah.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So,
There is a game that night, but we think it should be... we think it's an afternoon game, so I don't think we'll have to deal with the traffic. Otherwise, you might have to park a gob ton far away.
So something close. We're not going way out.
No.
Awesome.
Then after that, we've got an investigation set up for October 15th at Peteetneet School in Payson.
Yes.
And Peteetneet School is an old school. It was built in the
It's built in 1902.
1902.
Or 1901. I actually went to school there. That was my grade school from 2nd grade through 5th grade. So I am really excited to go back here.
It's kind of a landmark down there in Payson.
Yeah.
It's also an old museum, or a museum with has old stuff in it.
Okay, let me just tell you. I was born in the Payson Hospital, which is now the City Center and the Old Folks Home, and I think a DUP, Daughters of the Utah Pioneers Museum. And then my grade school is a museum. I'm starting to feel really old.
Where you went to school gets turned into a museum.
Right?
I don't want to say anything in fear, but
It's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm old now. My High School Music plays in the elevators. And
So that's coming up. We don't have that one up on the Eventbrite or on the page yet, but that's coming up, and we'll be getting that up soon. So be looking for that.
And we will be at, I don't know what they call it, Para-X, I think is what they're calling it.
In Logan?
In Logan. Yes, to the Bridgerland Paranormal Society, I think. Oh, if you're listening and you're part of that, I am so sorry. I think I probably botched that really bad. But it's going to be at the Cache Valley Event Center in Logan. It will be October 9th from 9 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night.
A Paranormal Expo.
Yes, and we are giving up our Boise versus BYU tickets for this, just so you know. So when you come, give us a little loving because we're sad that we're missing the football game.
But we're excited to be at the Paranormal Festival.
Yes, we are. It'll be a lot of fun. So you know we love you if we give up our BYU tickets to come and hang out with paranormal folk.
And we're also going to be, for Halloween spooky season, have a booth at the Indian Hills Horror Haunted House in Provo. And that's going to be, what were the dates on
The
that?
29th and 30th. We'll be there both nights.
Free haunted house.
And it's amazing. They didn't have it last year because of COVID. They're planning on having it this year. If you go out to the Advanced Paranormal site and look at previous events, you can go back and take a look at it and see a video of previous things. 2 years ago, they had over 2,000 people come through. It's a really amazing haunted house.
It's a free haunted house, but I have paid to go into haunted houses that aren't as good as this one.
Yeah, every year I think that's one of the comments that we hear is, man, this was better than that haunted house I paid $20 for. It's not as long, but it's surprisingly long for being a home haunt.
Yeah, and we'll have the address up on our website. It's free, but if you were to tip them a couple bucks, it would really help to advance it even further and make it even better.
So, Doc, how long has this been going on?
15 years, I think. I'm trying to remember the first one. I think we're at about year 15.
And
So-
Doc is one of the original
Founders
of this.
Most of the ownership has been shifted over to another family member, to Klaus, actually.
Yep.
So he does an amazing job with it. I had to go to school and was out of state for a while, and he kept it going and has grown it every year.
But you're still very much in the behind the scenes, and
Well, now that I'm back, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, though, to put it in perspective, we had more interest for our haunted house than the local mall in Provo did for their trick-or-treat event on Facebook the year before last. So
Yep.
we had food vendors calling us asking if they could set up outside the house. We had a DJ asking if he could come play music, and I didn't know the local laws, and I said, we're in a residential area, and this is a home haunt. So I told them no, but we had about 2,500 people come. So come check it out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's an amazing haunt.
And speaking of Klaus, he is coming back, so don't worry, he's almost done with his little project, so to where he can come back. So we are excited for him to come back here pretty quick.
We also have a couple of new patrons we're really excited about, LA and Connor. So they're new to our patrons group, and so we're grateful to have them on board and helping us with the things that we're doing with the broadcast and the podcast and everything that we're doing, and we appreciate them, and we appreciate all of the support from our patrons. If you want to help support the program, go out to patreon.com Supernatural Hour, and you can join up and be a patron. Check out the benefits. There's a number of different levels, anywhere from a $5 level on up, or you can do a one-time contribution also. So become a patron and help support us. Thank you.
So as far as residentials, we had one, but they had to cancel. But we have one coming up on Friday, and 2 more that I have to schedule. So by our next podcast, we should have 2 or 3 residential investigations to talk about.
This time of year, things start picking up, both from the entertainment side of Advanced Paranormal and the WISP side of home investigations.
Yep. And I did kind of a little one today, actually. I went to get my hair done, and we've been to my hairdresser's house before, officially as paranormal investigators, and we've discussed that. Merv the perv was there. We kicked him out, but my hairdresser said today, her sister had gone over and said, yeah, I'm feeling some negative energy here in a couple places. And because my brain runs on pixie dust half of the time, I forget to bring stuff with me. So Rogue and I were going to investigate her shop one day before we took everybody out there with Advanced Paranormal. And I got up there and I forgot my stuff. And so I have just a little emergency ghost hunter kit in my car.
Most people have like a first aid kit. And you're like, nope, K2 meter.
There's a first aid kit there too.
Yeah, I do.
Double prepared.
If I'm stranded in a snowstorm, I could live for a few days. But yeah, I've got just some little bitty dowsing rods. I've got salt and basil and a K2 meter.
Emergency ghost kit.
And selenite. Yeah. So we went up and a portal opened back up in her closet, and so we closed that portal. What else? I think that was all. We went down to another bedroom that there had been a portal, but that one was still closed. And I think we got that covered. So that was kind of our sort of residential for this episode. Kind of a, since you're here, could you check the closet in my daughter's room? I said, sure. So we did.
With your emergency ghost kit.
With my emergency ghost kit. I should start selling those.
That's right.
Your emergency car ghost hunter kit.
That's right. Put it on the website.
All right, Chad, do you have a bucket list for us?
Yeah, I do. One of the places that I really want to go is Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I was watching a video the other day about Gettysburg and a war museum that they have there that was just awesome. And it wasn't just for the Civil War. This war museum had a lot of Adolf Hitler's personal belongings that had been brought back after World War II at the Gettysburg War Museum. And it was fascinating. But Gettysburg for the Civil War and for, all of the other things at the War Museum. I mean, they've got, his silver tea set. Some of the things that the GIs were able to bring back was just amazing that have ended up in this Gettysburg War Museum. So I'm really interested. Always have been interested in history, and interested in the supernatural, and I'm interested in the ghost stories. And we talked about some of those on a previous podcast. But I'd really like to go back and experience Gettysburg myself.
Right. Some of the ghost stories when we were talking about, I don't know that we talked about Gettysburg specifically. I think it was just Civil War in general.
But we talked, there were some that related to Gettysburg.
Right. But some of those stories, you'll hear stories here and there of, something touched me or I saw something. But you've got, in those Gettysburg stories, whole, trains of people.
Battalions marching in.
Yeah, we saw a whole battalion marching and then they disappeared, and many people on horseback. And
yeah, it's a cool area. I've been there. I didn't do any ghost hunting in Gettysburg when I was there, but it is it has a different feel for sure. You go there, it's kind of hallowed ground in the sense that there was a massive loss of life in a very short period of time there. And it definitely made an impact on me, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the only place in Pennsylvania I was Erie. And
did it make an impact on you?
It did make an impact.
Yes, it did. I found out that Ravyn and humidity don't go well together. You want to hear the story?
Let's do it.
I woke up about midnight. It was humid. I'm from Utah. I don't do humid. And I thought I was drowning and then I was going to die.
From the moisture content in the air.
Yeah, anybody who's from a humid area is dying right now going, oh my gosh, you're such a wuss. I am.
I'm drowning.
Anything above 35% humidity, I think I'm dying. I did. I literally was pacing. I had to talk myself off a ledge.
It was a panic attack.
Inhaling thick fog.
I have only had one panic attack in my life. That was it. I was pacing the room going, babies live here. Animals live here. People live here. You're not dying. I almost went in the bathroom and turned on the air conditioner to breathe hot, dry air.
Just to get something that wasn't humid.
It should have tipped me off when we went to the restaurant and I picked up the straw and the straw wrapper was moist.
Yeah, you just
It's like, no, these are supposed to be crackly, not soggy.
yeah. That
So
was-
there you go.
I lived in North Texas, and that was humid enough for me. I went down to Houston one time and was interviewing there, and went, nope.
Yeah.
In
So-
January, got off the plane and went, not for me. So people do it though.
Ugh. So, Doc, do you have a personal experience for us?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one I shared last time though. I'd hate to repeat myself.
We'll start and we'll tell you if you're repeating.
Did I ever tell you about the time when I saw the lady in the bathroom when I was a kid?
No.
Sweet. All right, we'll talk about
You haven't
this.
even heard this one yet?
No.
This was probably my first, at least what I thought was a paranormal experience until I got older. My parents went out of town. My grandparents were watching me. I was pretty sick and had a high fever. And normally in my bedroom, there's a door to the bathroom, and I used to sleep with the bathroom light on as a nightlight. My grandparents didn't know this. Tucked me into bed, turned off the light. No big deal, right? Until, as I'm laying there with this high fever, I see a woman in the bathroom, the back of her head. She's brushing her long hair. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Kind of glowy, kind of ghosty. And I'm sitting there in my bed scared, right? I've got like the covers pulled up. And
So how old are you?
About 5.
Okay.
About 5 years old. And, I started like making little scared wincing sounds. And this bony, thin lady with this long hair was brushing her hair down. And as soon as I made like a wincing sound, just stopped like mid-brush. And I was like, oh, go, right? And all of a sudden, the lady turns around and has this sunken-in face
Ooh.
and looks at me and says, why are you crying? And starts walking towards me. So I start screaming like nobody's business, screaming at the top of my lungs, right? And she keeps walking towards me, gets closer and closer and closer. And then one of my grandparents came in, turned on the light, and the lady was gone. And I was like, what the heck just happened, right? So I was obviously a little panicky, trying to explain to my grandparents that I saw a lady in the bathroom who was walking towards me. And eventually was calmed back down, was able to go to bed, and I said, don't turn off the bathroom light. And anyway, that was one of those experiences as a kid where I was like, oh my gosh, I saw a ghost, and I was convinced that this was a paranormal experience. And it wasn't until I got older when I started reading about febrile hallucinations where I kind of came to the realization, like, I don't think I saw a ghost. I think I had a hallucination from a very high fever as a kid. And that, made a lot of sense to me, actually, because I was sick. It wasn't like this was just a run-of-the-mill day. I was pretty sick that day with, a viral something or another. And, it kind of changed my perception of what I experienced. For years and years and years, I thought it was just a ghost experience.
Or it was a ghost.
Or maybe it was a ghost. Who knows? But as I got older, as I've dived into medicine, obviously, I went, you know what? I probably hallucinated.
Okay, so I have a question. When you realized, when those two things clicked in your head, did you go, or did you not care?
Well, I don't know. I can't conclusively say one or the other, but I started to think I was sick that day, which was one of the weird, just, things that made me realize, well, maybe it wasn't a ghost. Maybe it was just my mind being crazy for a minute.
Interesting.
Just like those dancing people. Who knows?
I asked that question because when I've got something that I'm thinking and it's kind of cool, even if it's scary, and then I find out what it really might have been, I always go, oh.
There might have been a scientific explanation for that. Dang.
Exactly.
It was an epiphany moment for
These
sure.
the dancers, it could be rotten wheat. Oh,
Oh, LSD, darn. But yeah, that was probably my earliest, what I would have considered a paranormal experience.
Interesting.
Well, that
That's
was
cool.
paranormal.
There you go. I didn't know what it was.
Okay, so for the junk drawer, it's going to be a personal experience, and not like a personal experience, but I sat down and I, was looking around for something. I thought something actually happened to me this week that I think would make a great junk drawer. So here we go. So as you know, I play bagpipes. As a bagpiper, I do a lot of funerals. I'm one of these people that, people will say, oh yeah, I've got family buried at Wasatch Lawn. Oh, on 33rd? Yeah. I know where a funeral, I know where every cemetery in the state is. Most of them. And anyway, so I was at a funeral this last Saturday. And the fellow had actually died of COVID last year, and they cremated him. And he wants his ashes to be scattered in Scotland. But just, with travel and everything, they've had a hard time with COVID getting over there. And because of COVID, they had a hard time getting people to come to a memorial. So they just said, we'll just wait till things, calm down a little bit. So this wasn't really a burial that I was playing for, which is unusual. It was a memorial. And they were planting a tree in his honor, which I thought was really cool. I'd never seen that done in a cemetery before. And they're going to have a marker with his name on it. And his daughter got up, to do, they had a service at the church. And then they came to the cemetery, and his daughter got up and she said, and we've talked about on the podcast before a little bit how, angels and the loved ones will manifest to you a lot of times with pennies or feathers or butterflies. I have a girl I went to high school with, and her husband recently died, and she finds manifestations from him in the form of hearts. And it's really cool. She puts it on Facebook. She'll find a little heart-shaped bubble or a heart-shaped rock or something, and that brings her peace. So for this daughter of this man that had passed, it was hawks. And I don't know why hawks. I don't know if she talked about it at the church, but, she just said when we came to the cemetery to pick the spot that we were going to plant this tree, she and the cemetery rep, are wandering around, and she said we wandered to this one little spot, and she said I looked up and there were 3 hawks circling right here, and she thought, this is it, this is the spot. And I had been there for an hour, waiting for them to get there, and right where the tree was kind of on a hill, and it's right up against the mountain. And it's sagebrush and some dry grass and a lot of rocks. And I kept hearing rock fall, rocks. And so I'm looking up there because the cemetery has a lot of bunnies in it. It's got wild turkeys. There's deer. And I kept looking up at the rocks because I have that mind that I tend to go to the worst case scenario. Is there a cougar? Is a cougar coming to eat me? So I would look up at this sound of rock fall to see what was coming down, and I never did see anything. And so I spent a lot of time looking upwards. Didn't notice any birds because I would have noticed them. I'm a nature watcher. And if there was a big bird in the area, I would have looked at it and said to myself, is that a bald eagle? Because that's the first thing I do. Is that a bald eagle? Oh, no, it's a hawk. So in the hour that I was there were no birds. There was no wildlife in that area. Something was making those rocks fall, but I didn't see what. But that's not going to be a bird. So she tells that story. The tree is already in the hole. There's just a pile of dirt, and the planting of the tree is just some ceremonial.
Throwing dirt in
the
root
hole.
ball.
Mm-hmm. So as people are starting to put dirt in the hole, 3 hawks, boom, like they're on cue or circling. But I'm standing back a ways because bagpipes are loud if you've never heard them in person. So I'm standing back a ways so that when I play, I don't blow out everybody's ears.
Everyone needs earplugs at a funeral.
I know, right? So I'm standing there, and I'm looking at these hawks, and I'm thinking, do they see these hawks? Do they? And I want to yell out, hawks!
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that tacky person. Anyway, after about 30 seconds, I heard someone say, look at the hawks. Anyway, that was really cool for me, to hear that hawks were such a pivotal part for her. And, that hawks drew her to that point. And then as soon as they started putting dirt in, boom.
They were there.
And they circled, for about 3 or 4 shovelfuls. And then they flew away. It was kind of awesome. So there you go. There's your bucket list for the day.
Personal experience for the day. Junk drawer.
What did I call it?
Bucket list.
Oh, wow.
That's the junk drawer.
It's a junk drawer, folks.
It was good stuff.
We podcast kind of late-ish at night when my brain has mostly turned off.
I'm still pounding caffeine. That's how I stay awake. But here we are. Well, thanks for listening. And last but not least, get your Supernatural Hour swag at advancedparanormal.com. We have a lot of different items there, including tapestries, mugs, shirts, stickers, you name it. So check it out. It's pretty great.
And then just a shout out to our friends, folks that support us a little bit. Barbary Coast. They've got a really great little flat iron steak, Oteo's. Utah Freeze Dried for Pets, Castle's Nature Studio. We are actually going to get Castle to take some advanced paranormal photos of our team members. Make us look fancy.
That'll be nice.
So when we get those, I'm sure we'll flash up a few on our Facebook page and our webpage, on our TikTok. And then Backcountry Off-Road Adventure Rally. Boar. They are, if you're into Jeeping and doing service projects, they are your group. They're a really great group of people. Stay spooky, my haunty friends.
Have a good one.
Hey, have a good night.
And I don't know what happened to Rogue, but I'll do this for her. Love you, Nicholas.
It sounded just like her. Wow.
I know, she doesn't have a high squeaky voice, but I just needed to differentiate it from me. She's going to roll her eyes when she hears that.
Probably.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.